hold it. Yeah, all the way up. Burn it. All right, that's well there. Okay, pass it. You live?
We're live.
Oh, does everybody know that?
We're live. Be normal. It's okay. We're gonna. I told her to go to Eli.
Give me a sign if I should be talking right now. I heard my name. I'm not sure if the camera's on me right now.
Go ahead, Eli. I'll spotlight you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. How you doing? My name's Eli. Welcome out to the... Hey, everybody. My name's Eli. Welcome to the walkway over the Hudson. I'm going to put my sunglasses back on. I'm sorry. It's very bright out here, but just know that I'm looking at you. But you don't want to look at me. You want to look at this beautiful view from atop the walkway of the Hudson. And let me just improve my microphone in case it's windy out here. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. Let me know, Molly, if you can't. But we're on top of the walkway over the Hudson. All right, beautiful. And I'll show you a little panorama in a second, but just I'll give you a little background on this bridge. So originally this bridge was built as a railroad bridge. So it was actually the first bridge over the Hudson River, and it was built for train cars. And it was completed in 1869. And it was used up until, I believe, the late 1950s, I believe. I apologize, I don't know the exact date on that, but it was defunct for a long time, just abandoned, nobody was here. And then a group of people got together to turn this into a pedestrian bridge. So this is now apparently the longest pedestrian bridge in the world. And it was completed in 2009, and it's beautiful, it's awesome. I don't know how many visitors they get here a year, but let me just pan around and show you. Look at that. We crossed a little barrier on the way out here that said 1 mile across. So I guess you got to walk at least 1 mile to get across this bridge. And then I'll just keep panning around down, and you can see, I believe you'll be able to see, that's the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Bridge, sometimes known as the Mid-Hudson Bridge. Right down there to the south, that's how the cars get across. So this is the walkway. We're looking at Poughkeepsie over here. I'm not sure if you can see much of Poughkeepsie there, but Poughkeepsie, it's the end of the Metro North train line on the Hudson River. So that's certainly influenced the development of Poughkeepsie. One of the things I like to think about when I talk about the Hudson River is patterns and patterns of development you can trace along the Hudson. One of the reasons the Hudson was so important for trade and exploration was because it's the only estuary that travels through the Appalachian Mountains. So let me pan around one more time. I don't know if my camera's good enough, if you can get the highlands off in the distance there. All right. But the highlands are an extension of the Appalachian mountain chain. And the Hudson River is the only river that travels through that mountain range. So because it was an estuary, because it is an estuary and it's directly connected to the sea. Let me make it level. Pardon me, folks. Directly connected to the sea, you could take a boat from England, all right, and head all the way up the Hudson River, all the way up to Troy to where the estuary ends. So that's one of the reasons that there's so much development along the Hudson River. Let me see if I can get a little view of this new development going on down in the Hudson River. You probably can't see it too much, but there's some construction there on the other side of the river. All right. And that's some new condominiums going up on the Hudson River. And you know, due to the Metro North train station being right there, that's been sort of a development that's been because of the railway line, the passenger commuter line that gets down to New York City. So Poughkeepsie, amazing town, Dutchess County. We're over here on the Highland side, so you can get to the walkway obviously on both sides of the river. And Poughkeepsie was settled really early on, probably 1620s, I'd say 1640s. And I was looking at a park on the other side there, and they had a lot of information on that. And there was a deed from an American Indian to an English settler in the early 1600s. So there's been a colonial presence here in Poughkeepsie for a long time now, and it's an amazing and beautiful place. Let me show you though why we're really here. Let's see if we can get a good view of the Clearwater. All right. Now I apologize if it doesn't come through too well. You're going to be back down on the boat in a second. So it's just kind of a little speck here up on the walkway. I'd say we're probably, well, I know we're at least 135 feet above low tide water level, because that's the level of all the bridges on the Hudson River up to the Dunn Memorial Bridge. So any vessel that's 135 feet or shorter can make it under all of these bridges all the way up to Albany to the Dunn Memorial Bridge. So yeah, here we are on the walkway. Last time I was here was for a rally for gun control. So there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of activism going on in Poughkeepsie, and just encourage everybody out there to get involved as much as you can. So that's my basic introduction into Poughkeepsie. I guess I'll turn it back to the boat unless there's something else that somebody wants to chat to me. I think I can see chats. I don't have any questions from up here, but I'll turn it back to the boat, or at least let you look at the river while we figure out what's next. And thank you all you viewers for tuning in.
Okay, great. So welcome to On Deck of the Clearwater. If you've been tuning into our lives, you've been with us quite a few times today. We are about to sail under Eli and under the walkway over the Hudson. So I'm not going to talk too much because it's just an amazing thing that we're going to do here, and we're just going to watch it happen. So when we go under bridges, I personally really like to just look up at the mast and watch the bridge come under. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna give you a shot. We're just gonna go up. Cat's gonna lie down on deck so that you can get the view going up, and it's going to be so fun. So,
I guess I'll just lie down.
yeah.
It's kind of a wild.
Yeah, the camera further up. Make sure it's. If you want to get, I think the other side. We are on our way under the walkway over the Hudson. We're going under the walkway over the Hudson. The walkway is going to be over the Clearwater in just a bit. Our sails are really full. We've had a really great day sailing today. And it's just really nice. We're going to try to get all the way up the top of the mast. The sail is blocking the mast, which is great because that means that the sail is up. Keep a lookout as we go down river. We've been getting footage of passing under all of the bridges. So we'll be making a video of all going under all the bridges in the Hudson River. So it's really great. All the way over there, that's the walkway over the Hudson that Eli was talking about. You can feel the shadow coming first, depending on where the sun is. Just take a second.
old woman named after my mother. The old man's another child that's grown old. Dreams were lightning, thunder were desire. This old house was burnt down a long time ago. Make me an angel, lights from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. Leaving this living is just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, I had me a cowgirl. She weren't much to look at, just a free rambling gal. That was a long time, no matter how I tried. The years they just blow by like a broken down day. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. Leaving this living is just a hard way to go. Flies in the kitchen, I can hear them there buzzing. I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning, home in the evening, and have nothing to say? Make me an angel, slides from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. Leaving this living is just a hard way to go. Leaving this living is just a hard way to go.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you so much, Chelsea. We basically just had a moment of silence. I know you joined us for silence this morning with Thomasina and nature, but we just love music so much on this boat. If you're watching at home, say your favorite song to play, your favorite song to sing, maybe your favorite song that someone broke silence with on the Clearwater, or maybe your favorite song that you woke up to on the Clearwater, if you know what that means. We're actually passing the Poughkeepsie waterfront right now, or we just passed it. There are people fishing. They're enjoying this river, just like Pete Seeger wanted people to enjoy the river. People are fishing. We're out on the boat. We've seen there's another sailboat over there. Do you want to pan? Someone else and yeah, so just drop your favorite song in the comment. I personally, my favorite of John Prine's is Paradise. It's always a good to sing, but I also really liked what Chelsea played. Angel from Montgomery. It took me a second to remember the name of that song. John Prine. John Prine. Rest in peace. I know he just recently passed away, but we really love John Prine here on the Good Sleep Clearwater. I feel like there's not a single time I'm on board where a John Prine song wasn't sung. So if you were keeping up with our story earlier, you might have seen that we told you to get some rope ready, or since we're on a boat, some line ready. We have Mary, who was gonna, do you want to do it? I'm gonna you. Okay, we're gonna do a flyby of the waterfront.
This gives you time to get some rope if you
So
didn't
this
get
gives
some
you
already.
time to get some rope, so we can go back and just admire the Poughkeepsie waterfront the way that we should. Eli gave a really great history of Poughkeepsie, so we're gonna just see it. So you can hear Nick giving a ton of commands in the back, passing the jib. Liam has to be really careful with that block because the jib is kind of crazy. If you've been on board before, you know when we're tacking, it goes really, really, really wild, and then just a moment of bliss after you get it to where it needs to be. So we're gonna go into the Poughkeepsie waterfront. If you're in Poughkeepsie, we're gonna be here sailing for a little bit. So come down to the waterfront, come say hi to us. We would love to say hi to you from the river in real life rather than virtually.
Do a little bit.
Yeah, we'll just do a little pan. So we have the dock here. There's a nice playground. You can see so many people enjoying the river, just being next to it, sitting on the picnic benches, watching us go by. See if we can get some of them to leave. Okay, great. That was so fun. We love getting to communicate with the public in any way, whether it's on Facebook or just on the shores of the Hudson River. All right, so now, hopefully you got your rope in that time. We're really gonna go to Mary, and Mary's gonna teach us some cool knots. So take it away, Mary.
Alrighty. So it's a bit windy here today. I'm sure you all can hear. I'm going to try to be as loud as I possibly can, but what I want you to focus on are my hands, because those are they're going to be doing the work.
Maybe do you want to go on the deck right here? Here, so I can do this. Yes. Okay.
So I have a little rope in my hand. We call it a pet rope. And the first knot that I want to show you has a couple of different names. We on the boat refer to it as a reef knot because it's the knot we tie in some little ropes on our sail when we call it tucking a reef, when we're kind of scrunching up the bottom of the sail to make it smaller so it's safer for us in high winds. If you don't work on a boat, you might know this knot as a square knot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one end of my rope in one hand, the other in the other hand, and I always like to start by just making an X like this. And then I'm going to take this little end that's on top.
But I realized I should go like this.
And I'm going to tuck it under. So now I've got what, like if you're tying your shoelaces, maybe you tie this little overhand knot first. And now, if I look, I've kind of got two little trails, right? Where this one is one of my trails coming out. This is another one of my trails coming out. What I want to do is I want to take one of my ends And on the same side as that trail, so these are both on the same side of this end, I'm going to make another little X, and I'm going to tie another little overhand knot. And so if I look at this, it looks a little bit like a square if I tighten it down nice and tight. And if you look at it closely, if I loosen this up a little bit, you can see kind of where I made my two little X's. And you can see how both ends are kind of hanging out with their buddy, the little trails that I had. They're hanging out there. So if I pull this nice and tight, this is a properly dressed square knot, or wreath knot, as we like to call it. Oop, get rid of my hat. Another knot that we use a lot on board is called a bowline. So if you see it spelled out, it's spelled Bowline. So it looks like it says bow line, but because sailors like to pronounce things differently, we call it a bowline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I'm going to pretend that this end is much, much longer. I'm going to ignore it for now. I'm going to focus all of my attention down here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my end right here in my right hand. I'm going to put it on top of what I would call the standing end, the end that I'm kind of ignoring. I'm going to put it over on top like that and make an X. Then I'm going to hold on to that X, and I'm going to make a little loop kind of trapping this bitter end in there. So if you look at that again, put it over the top like that. You can also just take and you can pinch your standing end and turn it like you're starting a car. So I've got this little loop here. And now going away from that little loop, I've got one side coming over the top and one side kind of coming out from underneath. So I'm going to hang on to this. Now I'm going to take my bitter end, this little end right here, and I'm going to bring it up from the bottom like that. And I'm going to bring it around the back of my standing end and then back down through that little opening. And then I'm going to pull this nice and tight. This knot here is a properly dressed bowline. So you can see I've made a nice little loop in the end of this rope. So if I had a dock line, the ropes that we use to tie the boat to the dock when we're hanging out, if my dock line doesn't already have an eye spliced into it, I could tie a bowline like this so that I would have an eye that I could put over a cleat or a piling or anything on shore. Makes sense. So I'm gonna untie my bowline. I've got a couple other ropes here. I want to use them to demonstrate a couple of other knots for you. So anytime you tie a knot where you're taking two separate pieces of rope and tying them together, those are referred to as a bend. And so you might hear someone say, you know, can you bend those two ropes together so you can make a longer one? And the first one that I want to talk about is the sheet bend. And the sheet bend, you might recognize it when it's done, but it looks a lot like a bowline does. So I'm going to take and I'm going to make what we call a bite, which is just making a little loop like so in the end of my line. And then I'm going to take my other line, my yellow line here, and I'm going to bring it up from the bottom around the bottom like that. And then see how I kind of have a little loop here? I'm going to bring the end of my yellow line through that little loop like so. And if I tighten it down, this is a properly dressed sheet bend.
You could reorient because the shadow is kind of crazy. Just go this way.
There you go. And tack around. The last knot that I want to show you is another bend. It's one of my favorite knots to tie. It's called a Zeppelin bend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one line and I'm going to make a little fish like this. And this little fish has its tail sitting on top. And now with my yellow line, I'm going to make my first little fish a buddy. And they're going to be facing each other. And this little fish has its tail, you can see, hanging out on the bottom. And now I'm going to set my fish one right on top of the other, like so. And then I'm going to take the end that's laying on top and I'm going to tuck it all the way through the bottom and back up through the top. And I'm going to take my end that was on the bottom and come up over the top and all the way out through the bottom. And so now this one's kind of tricky to tie, but I'm going to tighten it down, pull on both of my ends, pull on those ends, tighten everything down nicely. And now I have a properly dressed Zeppelin bend. I keep referring to knots as properly dressed. That means that they're just tightened down so that they look nice and they are correctly tied.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. All right. If you have any questions at all, be sure to drop them in the comments. We have answers for you. We're actually going to cut back to Eli on the walkway over the Hudson now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Wasn't that cool? Thanks for showing us those knots, Mary. That was really well done. I never heard the start the car kind of thing. And my colleague Michael was like, what do you mean? Everybody just pushes a button today, don't they? So anyway, but yeah, start a car, just get that bowling started. I like that. So I was talking about the condos. Sorry, I keep forgetting to plug in the better microphone, keep the wind down. So I was talking about those condos on the other side of the road. And again, patterns, right? That's what I'm into. That's built on a brownfield, right? So to get permission to build those condos, they first had to remediate all the industrial pollution that was on that site. And that just kind of points again to how the river was used and how the river was looked at for years, right? For years, nobody wanted to live near the river. Nobody thought about why would I build some condos near the river? That's where all the industry is. That's where all the factories are. That's where all our sewage goes. All right, still kind of true. So one of the reasons that condo exists, that condo property exists, is because of the Clean Water Act. And one of the reasons that the Clean Water Act exists is because of Clearwater. And one of the reasons that Clearwater exists is because of you all for paying attention and being online and following us. So please share these links, right? I'm sure you're all subscribed. I'm sure you're all liking it. I think those are the right terms. I'm kind of old. But share this, all right? Get that message out there, because the reason people are coming back to the river is because of things that Clearwater has done and things that other organizations on the river have done. So the river is now a place where people want to be, and there is condominium development all up and down the river. One of the worst factories on the river was down at Kings Point in Westchester County, and maybe you've heard this story before. But if you wanted to know what color they were painting the cars, you could look in the river. Now this was 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, right? And none of that was illegal. So that was the crazy part of the story for me. It wasn't like they were breaking any laws dumping all that paint into the river. That was just the way business was done. But now they're building communities, they're building condominiums on that exact site. Now, urban development, land use, that's another issue that has to be talked about, right? Okay. This condominium is separated from downtown Poughkeepsie. So is it adding things to the community, right? So that's a whole nother topic that it warrants investigation and discussion. But I think anybody who lives in a condo and can see the Hudson River should be a member of Clearwater. All right. So if you know somebody who's living in those new condos down in Westchester or moving in here in a couple months, make sure they join us. Make sure they join Clearwater. Another fact I like to mention about Poughkeepsie is that it gets its drinking water from the Hudson River. It's one of the southernmost points on the Hudson River that gets its drinking water from the river. So if you live like in Cold Spring or Peekskill or Tarrytown, the water there is relatively salty, right? So it's got some of the salt water from the ocean mixed with it. So there's no ability to make they don't use it as drinking water. So there is one community south of Poughkeepsie in Chelsea that has a backup system for the New York City water system. So there is a water treatment plant south of Poughkeepsie in Chelsea that's used in emergencies or droughts. If New York City needs more water, they can pull water from the Hudson River and use it as drinking water. But their water actually comes from way up in the Catskills and way over down there in the Croton Reservoir. So, but a lot of communities do get their drinking water from the Hudson River, and the facility is just south of that car bridge. And then the last thing I'll share with you guys is you should listen to the car bridge. What? All right. Yes, there was a composer who created a musical composition all with sounds of the bridge. It's called bridge music. I apologize, I don't remember the name of the composer. If you ever walk across the bridge, you can actually stop along the way and listen to what there's listen to a section of it. But it's also I'm sure you can find it online. Okay, I think it's just called bridge music, and I think this composer has done it all over the world. But one of the bridges he used was the FDR Bridge. So I think that's about it for now. Let me give you one more panorama from up here, though, and then we'll kick it back to the boat. And again, thank you all for viewing. Be sure to like and share, and make sure everybody joins Clearwater. All right, so you're mostly just going to see the bridge. So feel free to cut back whenever you're ready, Amali. And big shout out to Marilia. Great job on the sloop there, folks. Okay, that'll do it.
All right, so okay, now go. Now we're good. Okay, great. We're getting ready to go back under the bridge. It's a really lucky, I just really love going under bridges. So this is a really nice day. I'm so happy we keep going back and forth under the bridge. So we're slowly tacking to make our way back under the bridge. I do want to say, if you are coming to see us at any point, if we're at a public dock, please continue to wear masks. We're still social distancing. The crew is working together and living together, as a crew does on a boat, as a family unit. And we only, we're still practicing social distancing. So we would love to see you. We would love to say hi from you from a distance, but please keep your masks on if you come to see us. And just a PSA in general, even though the weather is getting nicer and things are kind of opening back up, it's still out there. And it's still really important because, if this thing keeps going, just more time without sailing with passengers. And we really would like to take passengers on board. So let's look up as we pass under the bridge one more time. Yeah, get all the way up there. It's the little moments like that that make all of the hard work putting up the main with few people really worth it. We really love sailing. I think we're going to go to the boat cam. We have a stationary camera on the boat that just looks out towards the bow, so you can just see how we're all positioned right now.
Sweet. We're unmuted and go.
So we just had some people waving hi to us from the walkway over the Hudson, which is so fun. And we can yell back to them and wave, and they got really excited that we wave back at them. But one of the ways that we like to communicate with people on land is with this conch. So if anyone has ever played trumpet or trombone or a brass instrument, this is more like a trumpet than anything. You buzz your lips and you just kind of
One more time.
one more time. That's besides waving and yelling, it's just really fun. And our horn works sometimes too, but not all the time. It's more fun with the conch show. Great. All right. So thank you for joining us as we sailed under the walkway over the Hudson. Remember to follow us, clearwater.org/ORCU stands for Our River Connects Us, the name of this big transit that we're taking. Stay safe, like, comment if you want to keep commenting and say goodbye. Remember, our Instagram is @SloopClearwater. We'll be posting to there often too. And just keep an eye out. Come say hi. If you come say hi, remember, wear your masks, and we'll wear our masks too should we have step off the boat for anything, which we probably won't. But remember, keep practicing social distancing. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you later. Bye.